My name is Missy Dziczek. I'm the director of the Wareham Council on Aging, and I'd like to welcome you to our series, Senior Safety, with District Attorney Tim Cruz. Since everyone is practicing social distancing and staying home to help keep themselves safe, the need to develop a program to bring valuable information and resources out to our senior community arose. As a cooperative effort between the Wareham Council on Aging, District Attorney Tim Cruz, Plymouth County Sheriff Joe McDonald, and Wareham Community Television, we are proud to present this program. The Senior Safety Program has been designed to be educational, informative, and lighthearted. It will cover a wide array of topics and will include public safety, supportive services, and community interests. The topics that we chose to explore today will include elder financial abuse and exploitation, as well as a few of the recent scams that have surfaced in our area. Our guests for this segment include Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz and Sharon Frank, the chairman of the Wareham Council on Aging. District Attorney Cruz, welcome. What can you tell us about elder financial abuse and exploitation?
Hi, Missy. Hi, Sharon. Hope everybody's doing well on these difficult and challenging times. And thank you for really providing an avenue for us to talk to people in the town of Wareham regarding some important information I think that we should all try to stay on top of as best as we can. Because elder financial abuse and exploitation is a real and significant problem in the United States right now. And unfortunately, we expect it to rise with the increasing number of those people that are aging in America. People are living longer, and that's a good thing, but it's also giving access to these con men who are trying to steal from us as we get older. So, according to the National Center on Elder Abuse, which is part of the U.S. Administration on Aging, 41 in 1,000 elders have reported financial abuse. That rate's higher than those that have been reported for neglect, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse of our elders. According to an article in AARP, older adults lose close to $36 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars every year to scams, fraud, and exploitation. So this affects all of us. It affects our parents, it affects our relatives, our friends, anybody who potentially can fall victim to exploitation. And as we grow older, we all are at risk to become victims ourselves. So with that increase of elder financial abuse and exploitation, law enforcement, financial regulators, firms, professionals, they all focus their attention on and resources dismantling these operations that are out there. And one of the best things we can do is talk about them so that people understand that they do exist and that we need to make sure that people are aware of new measures that are going on to protect them and that have been introduced over the past few years at both the state and federal level. So quite simply put, financial elder abuse and exploitation is the illegal or improper use of an older adult's funds, assets, or property. It is a crime which takes advantage of an older person for financial gain.
District Attorney Cruz, can you tell us who usually commits this type of scam?
That's a great question because sometimes those people, unfortunately, may be right in front of us. Elder financial abuse and exploitation is often committed by, unfortunately, family members who may think they're entitled to somebody's assets. Caregivers who are handling the finances of an elder due to their cognitive issues. Caregivers of elders who are living in long-term care facilities. Elder financial abuse and exploitation can occur in any setting, such as a home, a community, or a facility in which there's an expectation of trust, or when an older person is targeted because of their age or their disability. The crime is committed when an individual who stands in a position of trust or confidence with an older adult or an older person with a disability, knowingly, either by deception or intimidation, obtain control over that person's property and illegally uses their assets or their resources for themselves.
District Attorney Cruz, can you give us some signs to look out for, as well as some examples of what elder financial abuse and exploitation looks like?
Absolutely, Missy. There are some signs and examples of financial elder abuse that include, but these aren't limited to, such as stealing an older adult's cash. Family members may ask for money, or they may intimidate the elder person into giving them money. Suspicious activity on bank accounts. Someone who withdraws money from an elder's bank account without the appropriate authorization. Maybe you'll notice that at your senior's home, bills are piling up due to lack of funds or bills just not being paid. Suspicious activity on credit card bills with unusual purchases. Somebody cashes an elder's check without the appropriate authorization, or somebody uses an elder's credit card without the appropriate authorization. Maybe, and unfortunately we've seen this happen too, someone has transferred property deeds without authorization. Someone may misuse a power of attorney, whether it be general or specific, and forces an elder to change a power of attorney to a new caretaker or another friend. Or somebody has stolen that senior's identity.
District Attorney Cruz, can you tell us why our older adults are such targets?
Sure, Sharon. Our adults are most vulnerable targets for financial exploitation due to three interrelated set of factors. One, the first factor is health related. The aging process can bring about cognitive and physical changes that elevate that risk. These changes can include cognitive impairment, poor physical health, functional impairment, and dependency on others. Two, the second factor is due to retirement trends. The wealth and assets that an older adult may have and has accumulated through their lives has made them a strong target. The third factor is the demographic trends. Where currently, we see steep rises in the elder population. And the elder population is where the criminal perceives the money to be, whether or not it's actually there. This is based on the fact that older adults are more likely to have an increase in financial resources, more so than their younger counterparts. And there's a higher prevalence of social isolation or cognitive impairment. One would think that elders who are barely making ends meet would be safe. However, studies have shown that they're even at a greater risk. That's in part because of the fact that seniors may have something that an abuser wants, such as their apartment or a home to live in, equity in a home, or a regular source of income from either a pension or Social Security. And the scary thing is that these criminals are constantly thinking up new scams that target the senior population. And we'll get into some of those scams in just a moment.
How can we protect our seniors from being a victim of financial exploitation?
Unfortunately, Missy, it's easier said than done. I think the most important thing we can do is remain vigilant in everything that we do. In some ways, to safeguard yourself. You may be able to safeguard yourself, such as never pay bills through the telephone or give your credit card information to people that you don't know or that you don't trust. Speak to your bank, set withdrawal limits and alerts on all of your accounts. When you're adding a co-signer to your bank account or you're making a joint account, choose wisely and choose carefully. Whomever you have a joint account with will be able to have legal access to your money. So if you put on John Doe and John Doe goes to the bank, he can take that money out without you having say because you gave him the authority as a joint holder of that account. Always, 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 we talk about this at all of our senior luncheons all the time. Shred your sensitive information, your documents, and your receipts. And even when you get your mail at home, if you get, we all get credit card applications probably virtually every day. Shred them. Don't just throw them away because people are going out there dumpster diving, going for trash, and going through those sort of things and maybe able to get applications. Stay alert. Limit the number of people who have access to your money. And be very careful if you're going to loan money to friends and family, because if they fail to repay the loan, it's not viewed as a crime. It's going to be viewed as a loan. And therefore, it becomes a civil matter, not a criminal matter. You might have to go to civil court on your own to try and recoup that loss. And quite honestly, it'll take a really long time. So be very careful about loaning money out. You can run your credit reports annually from the 3 credit reporting companies. In Massachusetts, we're all entitled to one free copy of your credit report from each company for a total of 3 a year. You can request your free copy by contacting one of the 3 credit reporting companies, either by phone or on the web. The information is also on our website. So if I talk too fast, please feel free to go to our website at PlymouthDA.com. Equifax is at 1-800-685-111. And that's at Equifax.com. Number 2 is Experian. Experian is at 1-888-397-3742. And that's at Experian.com. And the third one is TransUnion. That's 1-800-916-8800. And that's at TransUnion.com. Like I said, all that's on our website, so you don't have to worry about writing it down right this moment. You can request one from each of these every 4 months. So for example, you can ask Equifax in January, and then 4 months in April, you can ask for one from Experian, and then 4 months later, you can get one from TransUnion. This way, you're going to be able to see if there's any new accounts that have been opened in your name. So if somebody's out there that has somehow pilfered your information, that may be running up credit card debt under your name. Most importantly, if you find that you've been the victim of financial exploitation, or that you even feel that you might be a victim, I encourage you to please call your local police department. One of the great ways that we can fight this issues that are out there regarding financial exploitation is making sure that we get the word out what's going on.
You mentioned previously that criminals are constantly thinking of new scams that target our seniors. Can you expand on that a little?
Sure. I mean, I think, unfortunately, Sharon, we see, right now, for instance, we're living through unprecedented times. We see scams going on right now targeting our senior population regarding the coronavirus outbreak. Law enforcement officials across the world reported a significant increase in scams and cybercrimes, scams all related to cyber misinformation and fear associated with the COVID-19 epidemic. Just like after 9/11, there were all sorts of scams about 9/11. After every terrible event, or even the middle of terrible events, these bad guys are out there trying to figure out ways to get your hard-earned money. And they're trying to take advantage of unsuspecting victims and the good nature of victims to steal their vital personal and their financial information. So while we're all working really hard to stay safe and stay healthy, we also need to practice that same vigilance every time we pick up our phone, and especially when we're online on our computers.
What type of scams have you seen lately, and how do they work?
One of the scams that's been ongoing, not just in Plymouth County or in Massachusetts, but it's around our country, has been and continues to be the grandparent scam. And the reason why they keep doing it is because it's been successful. It's duped a number of our seniors into giving away large sums of money. The best way to protect yourself from this scam is be very wary and understand the way that the scam works. So I'll give you kind of an overview as to what a general one would look like. Usually you're going to get a phone call in the middle of the night. And that's, let's face it, you get a phone call in the middle of the night, nobody's calling you for a good reason. And of course, when you get that phone call, it's going to startle you. There's going to be a cause for concern. So when you pick up the phone in the middle of the night, you're going to hear somebody say, "Grandma, Grandpa," and that person's going to start posing as a family member. And they're going to say something like, "I just got arrested, I need help," or "I'm in the hospital with COVID, I need money for medical information." Now, we actually have a case going on right now in our county where there actually was an arrest made on an individual that called up, and the story was, it was kind of a unique COVID story in that their alleged grandson got into a car accident in New Hampshire and called up his grandparents and said he needed an amount of money to make bail because they were charging him criminally. But because of COVID, court only opened up once a week. So if they didn't get the money today, then he'd be in jail for a week. So it really expedited that process to them. So you're going to get a variety of calls regarding that, or that, they've been robbed overseas, or whatever the angle is. There's always going to be an angle, and they're always going to try to find out a way to get some money out of you immediately. And usually what happens is that you're so startled that when you get this phone call in the middle of the night, that you're going to say, "Johnny, is that you? Susie, is that you?" Now the scammer has your grandson or your granddaughter's name. And now once they obtain that name, they go to the next step of really their ploy.
What should our seniors do if they receive one of these calls?
Well, really, the other question that we often get is, that, when I recognize my grandchild's voice, and remember, they're calling you in the middle of the night, they're startling you, and the scammers will, prey on your afraid feeling in the middle of the night. And the way that it normally works is as soon as you give the name of your grandchild out, then it goes to the next phase. The next phase is they get your grandson or your granddaughter off the phone and they give it to their attorney or they give it to the doctor. They put them on the phone so they can talk about the process. And going back to that case that I talked about that we had going on here in our county, they in that instance where they said that, to his grandparents asking for, it was $8,000 cash to make sure they could get the money together. They put on his friend, who allegedly he was driving with up in New Hampshire when he had the car accident, whose dad just happened to be a lawyer. And so now you're talking to the lawyer, and the lawyer starts putting out the parameters as to what's going to happen. Why it's important, why you need money for bail, why if you don't, the consequences if you don't give that information or if you give that money up. And that's why, like I said, that story about the courts only being open for a week at a time up in New Hampshire at that time. Now, there were periods of time down here we've had issues with our courts being open, being closed because of COVID. So that really is probably not, especially this was back last April or May, back when COVID was really starting. So really that didn't seem that unusual at that time that the court may be closed for a week. But they have this conversation with you. They'll have a conversation as to where you need to send the money. They'll proceed to call you back several times under the guise you're trying to help expedite the monies and the process that's going on. In this case, these scammers were so bold that they actually sent a courier to this woman's house. This woman actually went to the bank, took out $8,000 cash. And the banks and also our supermarkets, they do some good training there. And the bank realizes that they see somebody they don't see normally, although they have an account with them. And they're not asking for $25 or $100. They're asking for $8,000 cash. At this bank, they asked this woman, "Are you okay? Is somebody forcing you to do this?" And because she was so wrapped up in this, she said, "Oh no, I'm fine. Was given $8,000 cash. A courier showed up at her house, showed up at the end of her driveway wearing a mask because of COVID. And she went down and gave $8,000 cash to this guy. And he was told, "You're going to get a call from your grandson, in an hour or two when he gets released up from New Hampshire. Just wait for the call." Of course, she waited. She had gone down that road. Unfortunately, she never got a call from her grandson. She eventually called him and found out this was a complete scam. And we in that instance, we were able, because of a lot of good work by the local police department, the state police, we were able to make an arrest on that one. That's now a pending case. But that's the aberration. We're not always able to get these individuals. So these people are very bold, and they will certainly ask for, money that you probably don't have to give out that way.
Are there any other scams that are targeting seniors that we should be aware of?
Yeah, there are, unfortunately. And one thing, if I just go back to the other one real quick, if you get a call in the middle of the night, resist the urge to act immediately, no matter how dire, no matter how bad the story sounds. Because these guys are good at what they do. Remember that. They're actors. They're con artists. You need to verify that caller's identity. Try not to say the name of your family members or your friends. Try to ask questions that a stranger wouldn't have the answer to. Ask him what's the name of the grandchild. Reach out to a family member. Lots of these times they try to isolate you. They don't want you to reach out to somebody. They put some phony baloney time frame on it. And think of that for a second. Your grandson, your granddaughter's in trouble, and yet you can't call their parents or find out if it's legit. And these people are pressuring you. Probably the most important thing you can do in any of these scams: don't ever send cash. Don't ever send gift cards. Don't ever send money transfers. Generally speaking, once that money's gone, it's gone. And therefore it becomes a real issue. So now as we proceed into, the next scams, obviously what's the big scam now? It's COVID-19. And they're right here in our communities. They pertain to contact tracing, fraudulent billing of Medicare for COVID treatment and supplies. The contact tracing scam, it generally works this way. You're going to get a call or a text, something to the effect of it'll say, "Good morning. According to our system, you are likely to have been in close proximity to somebody who tested positive for COVID-19. This means that you now need to self-isolate for 14 days and you need to take a COVID test. And when you, now, if you said that to me, the first thing I'm thinking of, well, who was I near? Who tested positive? And what they're going to say to you is, well, because of HIPAA and other medical privileges that are out there, we can't tell you. We're not allowed to share that information because it's confidential. Then they're going to tell you that you have 72 hours to get tested and that they need your best mailing address because they're going to send you a kit. And they're going to ask you for your credit card number. There's going to be a $50 fee. If you question that, they're going to tell you're going to be told this is not for free. There's a one-time fee of $50 for the kit and the test results. They're going to then pressure you to give you credit card numbers. If you push back, they're going to start threatening you with some form of penalties for not complying. So remember that. No legit agency is going to start threatening you. That's just not going to happen. Remember, earlier this year, the Massachusetts Senior Medicare Patrol Program sent out an alert warning seniors to never accept any form of COVID-19 testing from anybody other than a treating licensed physician or from a state designated testing site. Some of these scammers are actually going door to door and approach people in public with an offer to test them for coronavirus, give them a false positive result, and offer to treat them immediately. Through this scam, they've been actually able to obtain Medicare numbers and money, and they've even gone so far as to bill Medicare for sham testing, treatment, and supplies. Another new scam that we unfortunately are continuing to see is Social Security scam, where you're getting called, telephone scammers that are calling you, pretending to be government employees, working for the Social Security Administration or some other government agency. Now, to assist in this scheme, they're going to email you false documents. It's called phishing. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this looks very official, looks very original, and an email that you would get from an agency is what it looks like. They're going to tell you there's a problem or there's an issue with your Social Security number or your account, or that you owe a debt or you that owe a fine. And then they're going to threaten to arrest or pursue legal action if you don't pay. The scammer always asks that you pay the debt or the fine with retail gift cards, prepaid debit cards, or the transfers of good old cash.
District Attorney Cruz, this is really alarming. How can our seniors protect themselves from this type of scam?
Well, as we said earlier, the best way to protect ourselves is to be alert. Just remember that, a government employee, no matter what government agency they work for, they might call you, but they're never going to threaten you. An employee of the Social Security Administration is never going to suspend your Social Security number. An employee of the Social Security or a government agency is never going to demand immediate payment from you or demand that you pay a fine with cash, prepaid debit card, gift cards, or wire transfers. I mean, think of that for a second. You're gonna pay your tax bill with a gift card to Costco? Makes no sense whatsoever. If you are receiving a threatening call from somebody alleged to be a government employee, call that agency, ask to speak to their supervisor, report that call. Remember, and I often tell when I go and speak to seniors across our county, I make a joke and I say, remember the law enforcement's biggest secret. The biggest secret is because we've all gotten these calls from the IRS. I think we got those like a year ago. They were calling you, they were going to come and arrest you. They were going to do this. The big law enforcement secret I'm going to ask you all not to tell anybody is when the police are coming to arrest you, they never call first. They're just coming. So if they're not going to call you, if anybody's threatening you on the phone, it is a scam.
Okay, I received recently an email from Amazon telling me that my Prime membership is up and the card associated with the account is no longer valid. It wants me to update my card and add a new card to the account. Now, is this a scam?
I'm glad you asked the question, Sharon, because I think that it's most likely is a phishing scam. During the pandemic, we've seen an increase in phishing scam emails that have malware incorporated into them. These emails often contain misleading information and false links. And a few of the phishing scams that we've seen here in our county seem to be coming from credit card companies or from Amazon, Comcast, Netflix, and Facebook. Unfortunately, they're all landing in all of our email boxes.
What is a phishing scam and how does it work?
I know there's so many scams, it is difficult to keep them all straight. But for those of you that don't understand, a phishing scam, and it's spelled with a PH, not with an F. Phishing is a type of online scam where criminals will send an email or a text message that appears to be from a legitimate company. The scam usually involves, once again, an alarming ruse to startle you so that you'll be inclined to follow their instructions and provide you sensitive personal information. These emails and text messages have malware incorporated into them, and they often contain misleading information and false links. So, for example, on that Amazon email scam that we previously spoke about, a person can receive an email stating that their Amazon Prime subscription is about to expire, but there's something wrong with their credit card associated with that account. It needs to be either updated or a new card needs to be added to renew the subscription. That email is going to look legitimate. The Amazon logo is going to be there. The from box at the top of the email states it's from Amazon Prime. But if you click on the word Amazon Prime in the from box, a weird looking email address is going to pop up. That's a great way to determine if the email is fraudulent and that it's a scam. Keep in mind that any link in this email is probably malware. Malware is designed to steal your personal information that you enter in through your phone or through your computer. So we want to protect it very much.
District Attorney Cruz, thank you so much for joining us today. That was really great information, and I think our seniors will appreciate it. Is there some place that our viewers can go to get additional information regarding the resources offered by your office?
Yeah, Missy, all this information we talked about today and more can be posted on our website. Our website is plymouthda.com. Once again, everything that I talked about and more, all sorts of phone numbers or websites, all that information is there. So if you have any questions, feel free to go on or call us at 508-584-8120. We love doing these kind of shows and try to get in front of some of these problems. I want to thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Missy, for making yourselves available today. And hopefully we're able to get in front of some of these issues in the Wareham area.
Well, thank you, District Attorney Cruz. It was really great of you to come. And Sharon, thank you for coming and asking such insightful questions. And I'd like to thank all of you at home for turning in to watch this show. This wraps up our episode of Senior Safety, and I look forward to seeing you again and doing some more programs.